So you've probably heard of the Vaibhav Lakshmi Vrat, right? But what if I told you it's so much more than just a fast? It's actually described as this incredible spiritual journey, a path to not only prosperity, but also a real, deep sense of peace. A vrat is basically a vow, a spiritual commitment. So yeah, let's get into it.
All right, let's start with something we can all relate to. It's this universal human thing, right? The quest for prosperity. And we're not just talking about money here. It goes way deeper than that. We're talking about a genuine search for well-being, for a life filled with abundance.
Really think about it for a second. Deep down, isn't this what we're all working towards? Having a home that's just full of abundance, happiness, peace, where you never feel like you're lacking anything. It's that feeling of being blessed, It's a desire that pretty much connects all of us.
And right there in that shared desire, the source material points us to a very specific path, a sacred method that's believed to be a really powerful way to make those wishes for wealth, happiness, and peace a reality.
Okay, so that naturally brings us to the big question. What is the Vaibhav Lakshmi Vrat exactly? The name itself sounds so grand, right? It hints at splendor and wealth. But what's the actual ritual? What does it involve? Let's break it down.
Well, in a nutshell, it's seen as this powerful spiritual practice that's all about honoring goddess Lakshmi. But here's what I find really fascinating. It's not just about attracting money. The real goal is to invite positive energy into your life and to get the strength to overcome those tough financial spots.
And the benefits? Oh, they're said to be just as profound. The belief is that when you perform this vrat with real, genuine devotion, Goddess Lakshmi is pleased. And that in turn is said to bring more wealth, more comfort. But also, and this is so important, it's about clearing away financial struggles and creating this wonderful, peaceful, happy vibe in your family.
All right, so after hearing about all those amazing benefits, you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds great, but how do I actually do it? That's the logical next step, right? So let's go through the ritual. It's actually pretty straightforward. So the ritual itself is described as being really simple and, beautiful. It happens every Friday. You basically make a promise, a vow to observe it for either 11 or 21 Fridays in a row. It involves fasting during the day, and then in the evening you perform the puja, the worship. You set up a picture or an idol of the goddess, light a ghee lamp, offer some flowers and sweets, and then you get to the most important part of all.
And that is the chanting. This is really the heart of the puja. The idea is to chant the main mantra, either 21 or 108 times, with a totally calm and focused mind. The belief here is that the vibration of this sacred sound actually creates an energy that purifies everything around you.
With so many of these ancient traditions, there's always a story, isn't there? A story that kind of acts as its heart and soul, showing us the real power of faith. Well, there's a pretty miraculous one connected to this vrat, so let's get into it. This is the story of a woman named Sheila. And her life had this incredible, dramatic turnaround. It's one of those classic stories of transformation, Going from a life of poverty and sadness to one just filled with wealth, happiness, and peace.
So the story goes that Sheila was this very religious woman, but she was really struggling, living in poverty, just facing one hardship after another. Then one day, when she was feeling particularly down, this kind, elderly woman appeared, and there was something special about her, a kind of glow. This woman told Sheila that if she performed the Vaibhav Lakshmi Vrat with a pure heart, all her troubles would just vanish.
And Sheila, she really listened. She took those words to heart and started the vrat with just complete, total faith. And that's when things started to shift. A real miracle started to happen, slowly at first, but then more and more, positive things started coming into her life. Her home started to feel peaceful again. And this is really the peak of her story. By the time she got to that 11th Friday, her entire life had turned around. She had wealth, she had happiness, she had everything she had been praying for. And it was in that moment that Sheila had a revelation. That elderly woman, she was no ordinary person. It was Goddess Lakshmi herself who had come in disguise to see the depth of her devotion. It's an amazing story of how her faith wasn't just heard, it was truly rewarded.
So what a story, right? Sheila's experience really shows the incredible power of faith. But it's not just about belief. The sources are clear that this faith needs to be paired with certain rules, a certain discipline. So let's take a look at what's required and the benefits that are said to come from it.
Okay, so the number one rule, the most essential thing, is purity of mind.
You have to do it with a true, sincere heart. And that means a few things. Keeping your thoughts positive, eating simple, clean food, what's known as sattvic food, and staying away from things like lying, getting angry, or being disrespectful. The key takeaway here is that the discipline is on the inside and the outside. It's about getting your thoughts and your actions in sync to create an environment where abundance can actually flourish.
And when you follow all these rules, the payoff is said to be way bigger than just money. It's believed to bring a sense of peace to your home, clear out all that negative energy, and can even help clear the way for success in your career or your business. It's a holistic thing.
All right, so we're almost at the end of the journey. Once the whole cycle of the Vrat is done, there's this beautiful final step to wrap it all up. It's a special completion ceremony, and it's called the udyapan.
So, after you've completed all 11 or 21 Fridays, you perform the udyapan. What does that involve? Well, you respectfully prepare a meal for 7 or 11 women, and you give them a little gift as a token of your gratitude. You can think of it as a beautiful act of thanksgiving. It's that final essential step that really completes the whole spiritual practice.
And all of this, the ritual, the story, the rules, it leaves us with a pretty deep and fascinating question. How is it that faith and a specific structured procedure, when you combine them, how do they hold the power to completely transform a person's life? It's definitely something to think about, isn't it?